Could you
Sure.
please, Eileen?
Yeah, no problem. So 717, David?
Let's say 717. This is David Weig, Chairman of the Morris Planning and Zoning Commission. I'd like to call to order a regular meeting of the Morris Planning and Zoning Commission on Wednesday, May 6th, 2020 at approximately 7:17.
No, thank you.
Board members present are David Jeremiah, appointed for, let's see, let's go with
Bob Paradis?
Bob McIntosh. Oh, well, and then we'll get to Bob, the other Bob next. Veronica Florio, Del Knox, Eileen Yard-Budis, or is it Budis or
Eh,
Budis?
good enough.
I'm sorry. And Katie Knack, who is appointed for Bob Paradis. Also present are Christina Lepica,
Yeah, perfect. No one ever gets that right.
Thomas White, who set this all up, Gary Nurnberger, and Jan, and I did remember your first name, but not your last name. Christina, Gary, and Jan are guests at this meeting. And Tom White, as first selectman, is a de facto member of the board, or it's not the right term. There is a term for it. I can't think of right now.
I'll be leaving at some point.
Jan, can you
That's
tell me how to
okay.
spell your name just for the meeting minutes,
Either
please?
way.
Sure. My first name is Jan, like Jan. And the
Okay.
last name
Oh, yeah.
is spelled S as in Sam,
Okay.
J as in John, O as in Oscar, G as in Golf, R as in Romeo, E as in England, N as in Nancy.
Thank you so much, sir.
Easy. Thank you.
And first item on the agenda is, after the call to order, is the agenda review. And we do have one thing to add to the agenda that is not on the list because we have an unexpected guest, but a very welcome guest. It is Jan of the barn, who has some questions. So I'd like to add under new business for B, what is the address of your restaurant, sir?
5 Watertown Road.
5 Watertown Road. Tony can fill in whatever the numbers for the applicate or the item is once we figure that out.
Okay.
But he has questions regarding the restaurant and under the COVID-19 rules.
Correct.
And do I have somebody willing to make that motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second
Do I have
it.
a second? Okay, and let me, that was Dave,
Yeah.
for the record, that was David Jeremiah making the motion. And was that you, Veronica, seconding it?
Yep.
Yes.
And all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carried. And yes, just as a reminder, this is your chairman, Chairman Weig. Again, I will, even that sounds hideous using your last name. Hey, we got Yaton.
Hello, everyone.
Or Tony.
Tony.
Sorry about that.
It's okay.
That is quite all right. You have, my old attitude when running meetings is we assume we're going to have a quorum and we just punt when we don't, but
We hope
rather
that we
than assume
do.
we're not going to have a quorum. I'd just like to make a request to everybody who's here today, and if you could send that out the next time you open up these send your text on these meetings, Tony, that we assume that you are attending until you say no. And if you don't say no, we assume we have a meeting. And so if you aren't going to attend, step up and say no.
Okay,
That's all I
sounds good.
request. But we have to remember to mention our names. Again, this is Dave Weig.
Yes.
And I'd like to go to the first item on the agenda, which is the minutes from the previous meetings. Has everybody had a chance to review those? You want to put those up on the screen, Tony,
Yeah, give me 1 second. I will.
please?
We'll start with the February 5th.
That would be good, please.
1 second. All right, so the first ones are the February 5th regular meeting, right?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Okay.
Is it there for everyone to see?
Yep.
Yeah, it's a minute.
Yes.
Okay, there it is.
Did anybody have a chance to read these?
No.
That's why we really need to actually email these people, at least the minutes and the agenda to the board members so that, because
I mean, I
People
did
aren't
email
going
them today earlier.
Yeah.
I
and-
saw it.
you did. I do appreciate
I saw it,
that, but
Tony.
I think we need to do that in advance. I just,
Okay.
that way, it's enough. We have a hard enough time getting people to show up. Let's not make it more difficult.
This is
I'll
Eileen
make it easier.
Arbutus. I make a motion that we have the minutes to be approved, emailed at least 3 days prior to the meeting.
Do we have a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Any discussion? So that was Eileen making the motion, David Jeremiah seconding it. No discussion. This is your chairman calling the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carried. And let's scroll through those meetings, the minutes, I mean.
Dave, I have a good idea. Maybe we should just move these minutes to the Monday meeting. Maybe that way everyone will have
Let's
time
do
to
that.
read them, and then
I was gonna ask if we could do that also. We're holding people up here that came tonight, so
Then let's,
Make a motion.
I'll make a
no,
motion.
we'll just, yeah, okay. Who makes the motion and is it David or Veronica?
Go ahead,
And
Veronica.
what is it?
My motion was
Go
gonna
ahead.
be to move the minutes review to the next meeting.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, David. Veronica motion, Veronica Florio motion, David Jeremiah second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carried.
You guys are killing me with the
Thank you.
meeting minutes tonight. Jeez.
Boom.
sorry, we were doing a lot of
That's the
special
motion.
meetings, so it went by fast.
It's going to be an emotional meeting.
Do the guest first and move on.
Absolutely. And
Yes.
welcome to our guests. We're not normally like this.
We're much
And
more
moving
entertaining in person.
right along. The next item on the agenda is 4A, new business. And you should follow what Tony's doing on the meeting there, on the website there, as he's going to open up the minutes and bring up the agenda with all the material that he had diligently put together for all of us.
I make
that
a
is
motion
the-
that we allow the guests to go first on the meeting, and then we will follow up with the rest of the minutes, the rest of the meeting.
Well, actually, the two guests are the next two items on the agenda anyway.
Beautiful.
We have a motion on the table. Do we want to second it? Do we
You
want to
can just,
second that?
you can ignore it then. I didn't realize they were the
Then you
next
can
two
with-
items.
You can just say that you withdrew your motion. That's
I
fine.
withdraw my
I'm-
motion.
Thank you. That's the proper process anyway. I don't know.
Well, no, that's good that you
No,
teach
no,
us.
offense. I don't mean to be cold or anything. I'm just trying to be efficient.
No, I just want to make sure that, Gary and Han and Christina are, attended to quickly. That's all.
actually, maybe you might want to make a different motion and suggest that we move the minutes review to between complaint, to like the other business part of the agenda, so that we don't hold people up in the future. I'd accept that motion.
I make the motion that if we have guests in our meetings, that we move the meeting minutes to after we have talked to them and take care of new business that is immediate. Does that make sense?
Do I have a second to that?
Second it.
Thank you, David. Eileen motioned, David Jeremiah seconded. Any discussion? I hear none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carried. Okay, 9A Slab Meadow Road, and Tony has the application there. It's an accessory apartment, so this is not just a zoning permit, correct? This is an accessory apartment too? Yep. So it's a special exception application for us, and this is on Slab Meadow Road. Whereabouts on Slab Meadow Road is this?
Are you familiar with the road?
I am familiar with the road. I don't know.
As you go
Anybody
up
else?
the hill and come down the other side, we're just at the bottom of the hill on the right.
Okay. So you're
It's
past
almost
Trottle
kind
Lane
of
and-
diagonally from Deer Lane,
Okay, yeah, so you're past Trottle Lane and Deer Lane, close
Yeah.
to Deer Lane, okay.
but close to Deer Lane.
Yeah. And, let's see, what's the lot size on the property?
It's
I-
almost, or she can speak if you don't mind. You can speak.
Yeah, no, go ahead. Sorry, I don't want to interfere with your
It's
normal
fine.
proceedings.
It's 6.36 acres.
Okay, so it is a large property, too.
And then, yeah, so I'll just, so that we can just move this along, and the application's all complete. They gave me the payment and everything. And then, so if anyone wants to really look, but,
So it's a 720 square foot accessory apartment, okay.
okay.
Do we have architectural plans?
Yeah,
I know I
let me
saw
s-
some,
yeah, there's some, plans here. Sorry,
Yes,
I don't know if I
plot.
can rotate it.
no, oh, I see what you're saying. That's cool. That's a good idea.
Can make it a little bigger.
That's a very nice piece of land, Christina.
Mm,
Thank you very much.
very nice.
Okay, I guess you don't need all that. So yeah, that's the plot plan, and then I'll show you they do have some there that was some of this.
Now let's stay here for a second. So is that, okay, I see. It's the far left on the first floor. That's the accessory apartment. Makes sense.
Yeah, right
Cool.
here I can annotate, you see.
Nice.
Okay, so it's got a 2-car garage.
Well, the bottom line is there's enough acreage. There's
Yep.
the accessory apartment's not too big. It's got to be less than 1,000 square feet, and the house is big enough to support that. It's self-contained with a bathroom and a kitchen, which is basically the gist of most of what's in the special exception regulations. Do we have Torrington area health approval yet?
Yeah, he was going to give it to me. He was going to send it to me after office hours, so I'll be getting it tomorrow when I go check the email at the office.
Dave, this is Veronica. I
I'm-
just have a question about, you said less than 1,000 square feet, so they don't count the garage square feet, just the living space.
The garage is part of the property.
Right, but it's not considered part
yeah.
of the accessory apartment.
Well, is the garage considered part of the accessory apartment, Christina?
Is it, so essentially it's we're putting on the garage that's going to be accessible from our house and the accessory apartment because it's going to be an
Right.
in-law.
Oh, it's gonna be like a shared garage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's part of the house. That's not part of the accessory
Okay.
apartment as far as I'm concerned. That's a very good question, though. I appreciate your.
This is Eileen.
Sure.
I believe after reading the plans, it said that one parking spot would be used for the in-law, one would be used for the current residents. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what it'll kind of look like, I guess.
Right. No, we do require the Torrington Area Health approval, but everything else looks like it's in order.
Mhm.
So, since there is at least one, well, there are two new members who may not be, is that the existing?
Yeah, it
Yeah,
exists.
we currently
Oh,
have
that's
a
what's
detached
existing on the
garage.
property already. I got you. But the next step in this process is that, because I know there are two people who have never seen this part of the process, is that when we have an application that requires a public hearing and, and review by the board like this, a special exception application, subdivision applications, re-subdivision applications, we have to receive the application. And then as part of receiving the application, we set a meeting date. The process to receive an application starts with making sure that the application is complete. If it's not complete, which in a sense, technically this is not because we don't actually have the Torrington Area Health approval in hand. However, we have most cases in the past, if we know it's coming or it's in progress, we generally will receive the application as long as the applicant understands and accepts the fact that if we never get that Torrington Area Health approval, we will have to reject the application without prejudice at a minimum. I mean, at best. That wouldn't be an outright rejection of the application. It would just mean that, without prejudice means that we have not made a judgment on it. We just cannot process it because it's incomplete. But
Okay.
that I don't expect to be the case here. So the plan would be we need somebody to make a motion to receive the application and set a date for a public hearing. Before we have somebody make that motion, I think that would be workable for the next Wednesday meeting. Does that make sense, Tony? I think we couldn't do it
it'll
for
be
Monday,
plenty of time for the notices and everything. So yes, it will be.
the 3rd of June.
Yeah, if that's what the board wants to do.
Well, let's put it this way. I think if we're going to do a special meeting, we're going to do it to work on the town plan or things related to that. Therefore, we should leave this stuff for our regular meetings. And this makes
Okay.
it easier and more accessible to the public too.
Okay.
So I'm the chairman, so I don't make motions anymore.
David, I have a question. It's Veronica. So by June, if we can't have like an in-person public meeting, are we allowed to have a Zoom public meeting?
Yes.
I
How do we
believe so, but
advertise
that
this meeting?
gives us, it gives us enough time to get our ducks in a row for that too.
Just one comment. Yeah, Tom said maybe it'll be a little while before we can have in-person meetings. So for now, probably, but yes, we can
Understand.
have a public hearing and application on Zoom. Yes.
So you would, it's Veronica, so you would, in the paper, you would publish that we'll have a Zoom meeting, check the town website, give the address so they can check for the Zoom login.
And what I suggest in thinking this a little bit farther down the line, very good question, Veronica. I appreciate that. The thing to think about here is that we probably want to get that Zoom meeting scheduled ASAP for whatever date and time we set it to. That way we can give that information to Christina because she's supposed to write her adjoining landowners and get a
Ah.
return receipt back.
Mhm.
So they to get that acknowledgement that they know that this application is coming, and that way we
Right.
can include the Zoom link in that application. And maybe we should print up some instructions on how to connect to try to,
Mhm.
do the extra work to make this accessible. Is that workable,
Okay.
Tony?
Sure.
Thank you.
So
But
this
yes,
is
that-
Eileen. For an action item, Tony is to create instructions on how to connect to a Zoom meeting for a public hearing.
and to create the Zoom meeting itself for that date, so the applicant can send that information off, and that can be put in the public notice too.
Yeah, I mean,
Thank you.
tomorrow when I get in, if we decide to, I don't know, it's so choppy, but if we decide to have the hearing on the 3rd, then I can have Tom set it up tomorrow. So.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
just wanted that clarification.
Turn the video off, guys. You guys-
Yeah. She's freezing up again.
All right. I'll video off.
Ronnie, no more video.
Oh, actually, hang on.
Audio. Oh. Yeah, it's hers again.
Okay, it's off. Is that better?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it wasn't you, Katie, and it wasn't you, Dave.
Every day this time.
Okay,
So we're gonna make a
Now-
motion, right?
yes, I need somebody to make a motion to receive the application and set a public hearing date and time.
All right, so.
I'll make a motion to accept the application and set a hearing date. This is Veronica.
Dell will second it.
And it's actually the right language is receive the application, and we'll set that for Monday, June 3rd,
Wednesday.
2020 at approximately 7:00 p.m. Is that acceptable to add to your motion, Veronica?
Are we putting?
Oh, sorry. Yes,
Planning approval.
would
Sorry.
Thank you.
make a motion to receive the application and set the public hearing for Wednesday, June 3rd, 2020 at approximately 7 p.m.
Thank you. Perfect. And then David, second to that?
Yeah, I'll second. it.
And
Are we gonna put pending
Cool,
approval of
thank you.
Torrington Health?
no, that's
don't-
just, I just made that statement to have it on the record. We don't need to put that in the motion.
All right.
That would be if we were actually approving the application, then that would be a very good idea, David.
This is Eileen Narbutis. So the motion is to accept the application and receive, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to make sure I have the meeting minutes correct.
Receive the application.
Receive the application. Thank you.
Yes.
Just so you know, Eileen,
Not
I'm
a
also taking them too. So if you need, we can talk after if there's any discrepancy, all right?
And then it was June 3rd, excuse me,
June
at
3rd,
7 p.m. for the public
Correct.
hearing. Thank you.
And then Christina,
thank
that
you,
works for you as well, I hope, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, good.
Thank you, Christina.
Thank you.
Okay, we got a motion on the table. Any discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carried. Let's move on to Jan and item 5B, 5 Watertown Road. Would you like to, Tony, do you want to get started, or?
Yeah, sure.
No.
Christina,
No.
you don't need to hang out if you don't want to. You're more than welcome to hang out for the rest of the meeting, but this can go for hours. So if you want to drop off, you're more than welcome to.
Okay, well then, allow me to please say that, thank you guys very much, I really appreciate it. I have 2 small children that are, I'm not sure doing what,
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'm gonna go check on
Way
them.
more important.
But thank you guys very much, I will see you next month.
Nice
right.
meeting you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Nice meeting you all, have a great night.
Take care.
You have a good
Take
night,
care.
too.
I just didn't want to hold her up because
Oh,
I
God,
figured
no.
she had things to do. So
Yeah, you got it.
Let me get out of that picture.
Eileen, she wanted to join. She was so close.
Yeah, that's
So
exactly what
close.
happened.
Good
Yeah,
one, Del. That
She was this close to joining the
That
board,
close.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Still have that
Turn
third
her
alternate
away.
position.
I'm like, more like I'm good.
You know what she said? She said, deuces, I'm out. That's what she
I know.
said.
Drop the mic. I'm out.
was
All right. So
good.
All right,
Five
back
more
to
Town
work.
Road.
Excuse me. We're back to work.
So,
Mr.
Tony,
Wick,
what-
please go ahead.
five Watertown Road. Should Jan start out, or do you have something you want to
I
add?
don't really
first,
have
Tony?
anything. It's more Jan than me.
Then go ahead, sir.
All right.
Jan.
Thank you. Well, first of all, thanks so much for having me. I wanted to bring to the board's attention something that's been going on in many townships all around the state right now, ranging from the very large Hartford, Fairfield, New Haven to Simsbury, Bristol, etc. There is, and this is as it pertains in particular to restaurants and cafes and their ability to invoke what they're calling in these townships emergency COVID-19 zoning easements as it relates to the ability to expand whether you currently have a patio license or not, to expand to those who have a license and also to those who doesn't have a license, the ability to serve more people outside than what currently is allowed under the regulation by each town. As you all know, in Morris we have some regulations, both as it pertains to number of tables with respect to parking regulation, as well to with respect to size of the area and the tables they're in. There are many towns. I'm not sure if you heard or read about what they are doing right now, but they're invoking the ability to use parking space, sidewalk space, or other outside space, depending on the location, as additional seating for outside services once outside service becomes effective, which right now is set for May the 20th.
Yeah, and this is Veronica. Have you heard, is this supposed to be a temporary thing?
Yes, very much so. It's supposed to be a temporary thing. Each towns have slightly different rules and regulation on what they require in order for this to be become something that's available. I could give you, if it pleases the board, I could give you some examples. I could send them to Tony in terms of what they've done and in terms of what they require. In terms of paperwork and plans and a narrative to get these temporary approvals. I think some of the applications that I've seen includes, to your point, the beginning and the ending date of this temporary easement to outside dining.
Okay.
I also think that there's the state liquor board also have a similar easement in place for establishment that doesn't serve liquor outside. This doesn't necessarily pertain to me personally, but I know there are also a few more restaurants in Morris that may be benefiting from the ability to increase their outdoor seating and potentially also serve beverages outside. And again, this does not pertain to me, but if you're in that situation, there may be a longer process to apply. So I guess I'm obviously asking on behalf of my restaurant, The Barn, but I'm also asking as a general motion for anybody who may be falling under that need right now.
Jan, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Do you have a plan for how you would implement this at your property?
I do, yes. I have a written plan. It looks much like a site map, if you wish. That suggests some of the things that you're looking for in addition to this. So yes, I do.
Could you present that to Tony? And that way we can add it to our Monday agenda. Fortunately, that day is very close at hand. So it's not really going to be much of a delay, but since we don't even have anything to look at, we're not going to really hold you up in any way. I would think that, a site plan does not require the public hearing. It just needs to be received and reviewed and voted on, and that could happen in a single meeting if it all makes sense and all ties together. If it doesn't, then, that's not, it can't be done in a single meeting. But if you have a complete plan, and because I totally agree that if you can come up with outside space seating and you eliminate the indoor seating for the duration of this period, that it would make logical sense that you could conceivably, fit enough parking and have more outdoor dining than we have on the original plan and conform to COVID regulations. At least I'm more than happy to have you have a go at it to see if we can't make that work. I just, we have regulations. And if you have any examples where people change regulations, I'd be curious to see that. You're welcome to present those to Tony in support of your argument of that. I can't promise to be able to agree to, but that's not my decision either. That's the board's decision. I think what we need to do is get, an application. We'll receive that. And actually, if we do it one night, we don't have to receive it. We'll just vote on it because I don't see where this requires a public hearing. My only comment on that is that the original plan had music and like that, and I don't know whether we really want outdoor music included in this, and that could be something that'd be one thing I want to make sure that was included as part of, what you're in what you're saying, what you're planned for or not for music. But again, that's not my decision. That's the board's decision. I'm just chairman at this point. And I will.
No, I think those are all fair comments. Absolutely. And I'm happy to work with Tony to put the plan together. And I think what could be helpful for the board is also to show what regulation would be suspended for this temporary period in terms of making it possible, because right now it wouldn't be possible based on how the regulation is written, and also a few other important parts that you would have to negotiate in order to make this happen. So I'd be more than happy to put all that together in a package. And Tony, I don't know when you'll be available to sit down and talk about that, but we can probably talk about it offline. I just wanted to bring this to the board's attention. And so now that you have some background based on having a formal documented plan, I look forward to presenting that and having that voted on at a later date.
And before you go away, we have 5 able-bodied members of this board here too that I may have their own 2 cents or thoughts, and if anybody wants to comment, I will open the floor up for that. I didn't mean to usurp. I just didn't want to. I wanted to try to see what we can do to move to get to a workable plan that we can consider properly.
Dale Knox here.
David?
Well, I'm sure everyone's going to inquire about did they put forth any separation requirements, or is it just on a, for distancing for, I think that would be the only thing I would have in question, but.
For seating. So
Right.
This is Veronica.
Yeah, I mean, I feel. Sorry, go ahead, Ron.
What you're saying, Del? I was at Poppy's over the weekend, and it was a nightmare. There were too many people in the parking lot, and I had ordered ahead like you're supposed to, and some lady got nasty with me inside, told me to get to the back of the line. I had to tell her that I had followed the procedure and called ahead. And they told me to come in when I called when I got to the parking lot, and she had to say,
Oh, and she thought you were just going to wait in
people were
line.
standing inside
Right.
in line, even with a mask on. I didn't think that was very, people were supposed to be waiting outside, and they don't have like a cop there telling them, hey, go stand outside.
Right.
So I had concerns about that, and, what do we do with it?
Now, how is the outdoor seating there? I mean, what is it? And the 20th of May
I don't
is
think
going
they
to
had
be.
anybody sitting down.
Yeah,
I
because we
think
can't.
They had
as
just
of
people
now.
waiting orders.
Right. To go only or to go delivery. But
I mean, I know one thing will be an issue is that I'm sure they haven't made the guidelines yet for outdoor seating, but I'm sure there'll be, your tables will have to be 6 feet apart and so on. So
Right.
that'll affect, but we don't
And
know
it's
the
just like-
guidelines yet. So it's kind of hard to know what to even do
Right.
for us. You know what I'm saying?
right. And do you have to have proof that these people are at each table or cohabitating? I mean, I guess
Right.
we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But
Well, like at Poppy's, there was a full of kids sitting in the pickup using it as their picnic table. I don't think they were all related.
right, yeah.
Veronica and Del,
Yeah,
thank you. I just want to ask a quick question of Tony. Could you also check with Tom and see if he has gotten any information or if he has any information? Or
Sure.
thirdly, if he knows anybody we should talk to about that.
Okay.
Mm.
I can
do
do
that.
Ned Lamont
and
put something
ask,
out today about it.
Northwest COG too, if they have any input.
Okay.
Jocelyn.
The only comment
Sure.
I would make there, is that obviously the statewide regulations that we have to follow for outdoor seating, whether it's for what we have currently right now, which will be 4 tables, or if it will be more than that, will be the same. So obviously we would have to follow these rules and regulations very diligently, and of course that's something we look forward to do. Right? We don't. We're on this boat together, and we're not
Yes.
looking to cut any corners on the regulation. That's for sure. So whatever regulation we will follow for the patio space we currently have will obviously be extended to any sort of additional tables that we may or may not be able to put there.
Right.
Understand.
Okay.
Are we gonna
Thank you
do-
for bringing this to us, Jan.
Oh, thank you. I mean, obviously, it's something that's very important for us as a business, but I suspect that you may be getting a few more people calling in. I mean, we don't have that many restaurants in Morris right now, but for the few that are there, they may make the same inquiries, and at least we may have something that's workable for that in the next few days. Then.
Absolutely.
Actually, I think the 2 other restaurants in town have been there so long that they're pre-existing non-conforming uses.
Mm.
3.
That makes it a whole nother animal to deal with.
Oh, well, there you go.
It's a site plan application. Actually, so they don't have the same restrictions. Poppy's has always had that outdoor section that I think goes way back before I even lived here, and that I only moved here like 8 years after we had got zoning for the first. And anything before 78, 79 is the pre-existing non-conforming stuff. And same thing I think with Don Giovanni's.
Maybe Julia will want to put some seats outside too for her people,
Or
Oh.
the deli.
Who's that?
Maybe she want to put some people
Oh,
outside
that's
or
true.
cafe tables. She would love
That's
to do
true.
that. And you got the deli too.
That's
They might
cool.
want outside. Yeah. So
That makes sense.
we might have to just do
We got to figure something.
verbatim,
to
which
make-
everyone's gonna have a
Yeah.
different situation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed. Got to do something for people.
But we'll.
Because technically, Poppy's has been there forever, and we've always had
sitting.
some kind of a country store there, but it never really had outdoor dining.
Yeah.
So technically, that wasn't really ever part of that use. But then you had that gray area of how far can you expand an application, a pre-existing non-conforming use, which again, actually, there's a third one. That's West Shore Seafood. That's up farther on the
Oh,
agenda.
that's right. Yeah.
Oh, that's 5.
Digress. That's another item for another time.
They're all eating outside, right? Are they all eating out on those benches?
I think they're eating in
Yeah,
their cars
let's
right now.
let's save that for that section of the meeting,
Yeah.
so anybody who wants to listen back to the tape doesn't get confused.
Dave,
All right.
Sorry about
I will-
that, Dave. I don't mean to slow the conversation.
Dave, I'll be back in 10 minutes, okay?
Yes, I understand. Eileen's taking the minutes right now anyway, so we're covered on it.
I got you.
Thank you,
Don't
Tony.
worry, Tony.
Just once, if you guys work on are you guys gonna do the survey or overview, or
Who's
What
the
is
host right
next on
now?
the agenda?
Dave's the host?
I think technically I am.
All right, so we're
So
good
I
then. Do what you gotta do,
Uh,
Tony.
Okay, I'll be right back.
see what I think. Well, you're a co-host too, Eileen.
Oh, well, awesome.
Well, you need to be able to share the documents.
I asked Tom to make you co-host just in case
Ooh.
Tony had problems. Just figured let's better be safe than sorry.
Sorry, the power just went to my head. Sorry.
We're leaving off. Jan's going to get something together for you guys, right? All right.
Yes, thank you, Jan. You don't have to hang out and listen to the rest of our meeting.
Yeah, thank you,
All
Jan.
right, no,
Good
that's great.
luck.
Thanks for your time, and Tony, I'll catch up
But
with you
you're
tomorrow.
always welcome to stay. Some people said
Yeah,
we were pretty
You are
entertaining
more
back
than
in the day,
welcome,
and
and your
so
food is
forth.
Oh,
delicious.
you're welcome to.
Oh, thanks. As tempting that is, I'm gonna let you guys go ahead with your meeting.
Good night, sir.
And I,
All right, have a nice evening.
Thank
Thank you.
Bye. Bye, Jan.
Oh, we almost had him too, huh, Del?
Hey, bar and burgers all around.
All right. I don't have the agenda up. What's next?
The next agenda is the town plan of conservation and development. And let's see, let me figure out what these.
Postcard, right?
I can share. And yeah, I can. And postcard. That should be right here.
So I asked my sister, who is a graphic designer, to help me design the postcard. And she lovingly came up with 3 designs for the committee to look at. One is a contemporary design, one is an old-fashioned design, and one is a collage, if you will, of recent pictures that I took of the town. So if the commission approves, I would like to present the 3 of them for you guys to vote on.
Do we have them? Is this in
yeah, there are
here?
3 of them right there. Yeah.
We do, but I
there
have
are
the
3 here?
actual,
No, she's got them in color.
I have them in
Oh.
color.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
If you were,
stop
if
my
I
sharing.
can,
Yeah.
if you would
have
allow
the
me to
little green
share.
button? You have the little green button down there on the bottom?
I can, yep.
Go ahead, please.
All right.
It's all yours, Eileen.
Thank
Take
you
the
so much,
power.
guys. All right, so this one that I'm going to pull up first is the contemporary design. And this is the one that we had talked about at the meeting. It has the snapshot of the town hall with the church. And this would be the front side of the postcard. It would not be the side that has the language on it. So
Right.
this is the first one. Now let me pull up the second one. Please hold. This is more of the old-fashioned design. And this is reminiscent of the picture that is behind Tom, I think, when he is on the meeting, the Zoom meetings. I think this is very nice as well. And then the third picture is images that I drove around the town and took pictures.
I like that one. That's nice.
And obviously,
Yeah, this is my personal favorite.
the pixelation would be appropriate, obviously, for the postcard. These are just mock-ups. So down here, I don't know if you can see my my mouse. It would say Planning and Zoning Committee. It would be easier to read.
Is it commission or committee? Or a commissioner or committee?
Commission.
Okay, so I can have her
Good,
fix
good.
that. That's not a
Veronica,
problem.
good point. This is Dave Wig again. That's a very good point, Veronica. That is, should be commission.
It's hard to see, but that's a rainbow that I took over Banham
Yes.
Lake, Camp Columbia, the community hall picture.
House.
So there's the 3 pictures that I have come up with for the board to decide on if they like any of them. If they choose that they don't like any, I can start from the drawing board again, but these are the 3 that my sister, graphic designer, has been working with. And
Does somebody
Veronica
want to make a motion
and I worked
to,
on Saturday with her going through them.
does somebody want to make a motion to provide Eileen some direction there, Dave Week?
Dell here, I make a motion to accept the last one and contingent on replacing one of the signs with Chuck. He's our notable person,
Who's Chuck?
Check out.
right? I think it's Wikipedia. I think he's in there.
I don't know what Chuck
let's take
is,
Chuck
Dell.
off
I'm
of it.
sorry.
Chuck gets
Motion
posted.
to second to
Do we have
accept
a
the third.
second to Dell's motion without, what's that, Veronica?
I said I would second the motion, but to leave Chuck off.
Okay, fine.
Can someone explain to me what Chuck is, please?
Chuck Alex Sinis is like a 6'7", 6'9" man who played for UConn and in the European professional
So
basketball
he's our
league.
local celebrity.
Was
He's the one who has that property on just north of Straits Turnpike on Route 63 that has like fast
Yoga.
break fitness, and
Bramasol.
Bramasol is his wife's business. He also has property on the corner of Trotta Lane and Slab Meadow too, the old Trotta house.
And he's so tall, even I have to look up to him. It's awesome.
I like the third one as well.
We have a motion on the table. Any discussion? Other than Chuck.
So the only discussion, this is Eileen, my sister, if she were to create any of these 3 postcards, we would need, especially for the third one, I would have to obtain the copyright of the Morris seal from the town so that because right now it's just a screenshot from the from Google. So she would need to obtain that copyright in order to have that on there. The other pictures are ones that I have taken myself on my phone.
Oh, it's Veronica. Hey,
So-
David, we have a procedure question.
Yes.
Is it okay for Eileen's sister to gift us this work, or by law are we supposed to pay her?
I think, I mean, is your sister doing this as a volunteer, or that's Veronica, thank you. What's the relationship here? Is she going to be the printer, or is it?
She
Or
is
what?
just the designer of the artwork. And my sister went to school for graphic design, and I called her and I said, listen, I have been asked to create a postcard for the town, and will you help me? And if your design is decided, you can use it in your portfolio.
Okay, so
Oh,
their question was, she's doing it pro bono?
yes.
So we can legally accept that, right?
Yes.
I don't see why we can't. No, we've.
Okay.
Yes, I don't see that as being an issue.
All right,
I just
beautiful.
thought she was doing more than just the design for a second. At least you made me wonder. And
Did
to
a
me,
fabulous job.
I think
Love
that the whole logo on that thing would be up to whether Tom can let us do that or not. And if he can't, then we have Morris, Connecticut without the logo.
Right.
I don't see where we
Right.
have to have the logo in there. But I
And
think
I was
in a
just
way, it's
trying
nice to have
to,
the
this
logo.
is Eileen Arbutus. I was just trying to create a postcard that I thought would catch the attention of the residents. I felt that the postcard sample that we were given from the other town was awful. That's just my
It was.
opinion.
I
Oh,
second that.
This is great,
Thanks,
Eddie.
Ronnie.
This is great.
Motion carried.
And I really wanted to highlight some, like the picture of the cows, that's from my driveway. We had cows in my driveway. I mean, if you can't get any more Morris than that, I mean, come on.
Right. Or the
Correct.
four bears.
Yes,
Yeah.
the Poleckies too. They were big into cows.
Yes. So this would be one side of the postcard. It would be the glossy side.